Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining, and for anybody who might be watching this after the fact during your eggnog breaks instead of your normal Rudolph reruns. Hopefully, this is an enjoyable computer-based training for all of the elves. All right. So let's get some context here. The situation is this: we have a very effective team, you all elves. Um, you have been doing work for quite a while together and have a pretty good process and streamlined set of operations, but there's also some pretty deeply seated quirks and things that sometimes cause a little bit more stress than people want uh, at this time of year. So Mrs. Claus has taken it upon herself to try to put some new changes in place. So anytime we come and try to help an organization with setting up a new knowledge base or any sort of work system tool, we don't like to do anything too drastic too quickly. So we like to start with the immediate pain points. And from what I hear, there is a pretty big immediate pain point where everybody keeps taking all of the images or all of the paper off of the bulletin boards and turning them into paper airplanes. That's a lot of fun, but it makes it pretty difficult to find all of those things we really care about, like our hot cocoa reminders. So hard to stay working if we don't have our cocoa. So we're going to start with that and see if we can get things running a bit more smoothly over there. Before we dive into what Notion, or before we dive into how we're going to use Notion, we're going to dive into what it is. So Notion, I am now showing you, is a wonderful workplace tool that it's the tool for everything, or there's a lot of different marketing slogans you can have for it, but it's somewhat of a combination of all the different workplace tools you might use for documentation and coordination. So there's a little bit of Jira, a little bit of Confluence, a little bit of Google Drive, Google Docs, Google Sheets, SharePoint. A lot of similar features to what you'd find over there. And this session, and we're keeping it just to trying to keep them under a half hour, because we know everyone's got to get back to their toy building. So let's jump in. Notion, I have up here as a desktop application. It also is provided as a web application. So this is in my web browser, and this is the Notion application. If you're using a Mac, you'll see in the dock a different application for your browser versus Notion, but it is the same thing. I prefer using the desktop application, but either will work. Notion also syncs seamlessly across the different platforms. So you can see over in my web browser, syncs seamlessly comes across. If I check it off, it's checked off over here. So anything that we do here in the Notion desktop application can also be done in the web browser, no problem. All right. What we have is a fresh Notion workspace. So a workspace is a construct in Notion, and we have called this n-Santa. We might want to call it something else, but we have not invited all of the elves yet to our workspace, so this is a good working title. You can see here that I am a member of a few other workspaces, and I can get to that up here in my workspace switcher. Within a workspace, we have a construct called team spaces. Team spaces are aggregators or large directories or large folders that allow you to house all sorts of content within them. You can link documents across team spaces and you can share across team spaces. Um, we don't need to, in this session, create any team spaces, but as we move forward, we probably will want to do that for the different workstations that we have at the North Pole. We might find that we have enough reindeer process and documentation that we want a whole team space for that to keep things better organized. Additionally, in my sidebar, and I'll go ahead and make this full screen now. In my sidebar, which is collapsible with this handy little icon at the top, I have team spaces. I also have private. So every member of a Notion workspace will have a private space that they can create any kind of drafts or docs just for one-off or quick brainstorming or for any sort of process that you might have that's really just internal to you. You can share your private pages and you can share different pages within team spaces all through this share or publish to the web button, where we can select the access, add people, or make it available for anyone online, which we will explore the reasons you might want to do that in future sessions. In the sidebar as well, we have a search and a home. These will get very handy as we continue to grow or as we start growing out our corpus of knowledge here at the North Pole headquarters. Lastly, so home also is a nice spot that you can customize a little bit, but it's a good little landing space to show you where you've recently been, or if you have events within Notion, or if you start tracking tasks, which we will get to. Home is a really nice spot to land for all of these things. All right. So we said we would start with the pain points. The pain points, I got some documented evidence, some pictures or sketches of what we have going on. I have not been, haven't gotten my travel authorized to visit the workshop in person yet. So we're gonna have to make do with some asynchronous communication on the troubles that we're seeing there. The first thing is obviously the most important of all the documents. I can't believe this one was tarnished and abused into a paper airplane, but here we have it. So we have our special hot cocoa reminder. This is something apparently that gets updated every week with different refill schedules and different flavors. We've got some things that are specific to the train workstation, compatibility charts and important reminders. We've got our chaos reports that those were just about daily, and people are finding it really difficult to stay on top of things when they go to the bulletin board and it's not there anymore. So we're going to be making this first pass of a bulletin board for all of our folks, all of our merry workers at the North Pole. So let's get into it. The first thing we are going to want to do is start to create some pages. So we talked about workspaces, team spaces, and now we'll talk about pages. A page is a construct in Notion that allows you to house all sorts of content, similar to a Google Doc or a Confluence page or a SharePoint page. We're going to start with an empty page, but you can see when I go and add to the n-santa space HQ, which, you know, based on this webinar title, we probably want this to be called the North Pole HQ. So let's change that first. North Pole HQ. Great. Done. And we're going to create an empty page within there. I'm going to call this the bulletin board. That's our first problem, is we need to replace the bulletin board. And on our bulletin board, we had a few different items. We could see in the private page that I made called images, a few different things that were underway here. So what we'll do is let's take this chaos report and turn that into a Notion page and see what sort of content blocks we need to do that. So what I'll do is open up my bulletin board page in a new tab. So this operates very similar to a web browser where you have tabs and you can have multiple windows as well. So if I wanted to, I could pull my bulletin board out, make it half screen and make this half screen and collapse my sidebars. And this is a similar style workflow that you might do already with Confluence or SharePoint or anything like that, where we want to have one item next to the other to view it. So workspace, team space, page, and then blocks. So blocks are your atomic level Notion construct. They are the smallest piece of data within Notion. Your blocks comprise your pages comprise your team spaces, workspaces. When I go to start writing, I can just type and say, this is my text, yay. Or I can start typing and say, today's chaos report. But this doesn't quite have the same impact as what I had in my page, in my actual printed out piece of paper. So instead of just typing this in, you'll see that there is a plus and a drag next to every line that I create. Every line that I'm creating here is a content block. And I have the ability to select which type of block I want to be adding. This is a relatively static list. This does not change very often, but it is a list that I find myself scrolling through the whole thing more often than I expected, just in case there's a certain type of content block that works better for me that I wasn't aware of yet. For us, we're looking at really the basic blocks. This looks like it is a heading. So I'll just select heading 1 and I can start typing it, or I already have it typed. So I will actually just go and change the block I already had from a text block into a heading block and delete this one. So what we have is we can see this is heading 1. We can turn it into something else. We can change the color. We can duplicate it. We have a context menu for every block that we add, and that allows us to move them around or change them into what we need to. The next step here is putting these items, these bulleted list items in. I could, and Notion will be very kind as to help me, if I do your traditional dash space, it creates a list automatically for me. And I can start typing toy production is ahead of schedule. And when I hit enter, it automatically makes another list item for me. Now, I also could have these items typed in as is. They are currently doing zoomies in the stables. That sounds very fun. I can select both of these and turn them into a bulleted list, or if for some reason we wanted to apply order, turn it into a numbered list. I actually don't want to apply order, so I'll show Yeti's ugly sweaters. No. Oh, it looks like they might be happy, actually. They're touched. Great. Okay, I have all 3 of these, but I actually don't want them to be in an ordered list. I want them to be in an unordered list. I could select this and do the turn into, but you'll see many places in Notion that I go to perform an action. Uh, it gives me a little helper information. It says drag to move, click, or command slash to open menu. So I find myself using command slash quite a bit, and that is the same thing as going and clicking this, but you don't have to move your hand from your keyboard to your mouse, and you can do just a command slash. Additionally, when you open up this context menu, there's all these options. There's a lot of items beneath your turn into list. And like I said, I use Notion a lot, and I still sometimes forget exactly which items are available to me. So this search actions is huge. I can just start typing in list, and it will give me the different options. This is a bulleted list. So now we have our chaos report in our bulleted list in our bulletin board. Bulletin, bulleted. How about it? All right. That takes care of our chaos report. We've got some of our content now. This is great. It's no longer on this page. We have our announcements as well, and let's quickly do that. You can also see here, write, press space for AI, which I will not be getting into any Notion AI, I don't think, in any of these sessions, because our elves are intelligent enough. They don't need anything artificial. But the last one here is slash for commands. So instead of typing something out or coming over here and clicking plus to find the heading I want, I'll just type slash HE, and I can pick, is this a heading 1 or a heading 2? Well, it looks like it's slightly smaller text. It's not centered like the other one. It might be a heading 2, but it doesn't really fall under a chaos report. Maybe it does. Let's do heading 2. Type in our announcements and do the same deal we did before. Mrs. Claus just banned glitter. Yes, again. Elf choir. Okay, so here are our major pieces of text and content that we added from this chaos report. That is helpful. It is good. But we'll see that as we start to try to integrate some of these other bulletin board items, we're going to have to think about page organization a little bit. So let's go to one of the other items that really matters, and that is our hot cocoa specials. I just made this full screen again, and I will show the sidebar so we can check this out here. All right. So for this, this is important. Let's call this the hot cocoa schedule. The real reason that you open this, everybody, all the elves, they really care about is what type of cocoa do we got and where is it going to be served. So we could go with our ordered list again or our unordered list again, but you can see that this is not one-dimensional data. This is tabular. This is at least two-dimensional data. And so how are we going to handle that? Well, I could type slash, and that gives me all these blocks, and I could search through everything, and I could scroll right past it and miss it. But there is an item on here called table. So if I just start typing in table, here we go. All right, I can add a table, and I can start to put in stuff that I think we'll care about, like the say the time, cocoa type, and maybe if there are any associated treats that get served with it. And say at 10 o'clock we serve mocha, and at 2 o'clock we serve peppermint. And oh, there's another time slot. Click or add a new row. All right, click to add a new row or drag. So at 8 o'clock, of course, the elves need to stay working. So that's when they serve their orange mocha frappuccinos. And I heard that they do pancakes with those and candy canes with these and cookies to start off the day. So here um, we have our table. So we've got basic text that we can add. We've got headings that we can add, lists, ordered, unordered, um, and we have tables. I can add new columns. I can drag my columns around. Maybe location matters. Maybe this is in the West Hall, and this is in the reindeer stalls, and whatever information might be pertinent. And you can do a lot of the formatting that you'd expect to find in any other type of application. We can also do the different styling and formatting. I'm not going to go too deep into tables for this group, because in our upcoming sessions we're going to dive into databases, which have a lot more power than these simple markup tables. But we're mindful of everyone's time, so we're going to show the basics here, and I have two more things to show. So we've got a bulletin board. This is great, but a lot of these memos that we're finding are very specific to certain workstations. Like this one is specifically to the train folks, the people who are on the train bench or at the train workstation. So I'm going to make a new page called workstations, the new workstations page. And within this, because we have so many workstations, I think before I could just start and say, oh, heading 1, this is the train workstation information, and put all my stuff in here. But I can already tell that we need a bit more content organization than that. So instead of that, we'll do the train station is what we'll call this, and we'll put the memo for train station in here. Now, where am I? Where am I in Notion? What did I just do? I created a new page under our HQ team space called Workstations. And then underneath Workstations, I created another new page, which you can find in your sidebar in this page tree structure. Train station lives right beneath Workstations. So in here, let me go ahead and believe I have, yeah, we got our compatibility chart. Yeah, somebody already, gave me the copy paste ready information for the memo that we had that was ripped down. So I got our compatibility chart in here, making it clear, what tracks go to what items. We had a big notice that, hey, we got to make sure we don't actually put the batteries in the train. So this is a good sort of quick memo spot for anybody working in a train station. And we can do similar items. I believe we have some stuff around the reindeer. So I think there was a poop rotation where the different elves are supposed to be scooping out different reindeer stalls. So we can go ahead and start that by putting in our reindeer station as well. And you'll see the page tree will start to build out. Before I get into the last type of content block and build out the reindeer station or any of these other stations, which we will do in our coming sessions this month, I'd like to give this a little bit of flair, give this some style that is a bit better than just white background, black text. So what we can do is add covers and icons. So I can use Unsplash directly in here to say something like, hey, what's the North Pole look like? Or you can use, they have AI integrations to auto-generate your images, but we can just pick some sort of nice Northern Lights item to give people that vibe. Or we could pick a a bulletin board and very easily help people orient where they are when they land on a Notion page. For the workstations, we could do the same. So that for each page, workspace, team space, page, block, for each page, you have the ability to add a cover and you have the ability to add an icon. So if we call this, give this a little clipboard, we can already start to, we can quickly identify, oh, the train station, you know, they're probably going to want some sort of a train icon, and their cover image, they'll probably want to be some sort of toy train. Very quickly, very easily, we can get our different teams excited about this new work system because they can customize it to exactly what they need. Now, the last piece before we wrap up this session is there are items. Well, let me also show. We can do some multi-column stuff, which maybe I shouldn't jump into yet. There are some items that we'll want to have everywhere. If there's a mission, a driving mission for the North Pole, we might want that in a lot of different workstation home pages or a lot of different areas. And what we don't want is to duplicate that all over the place. And the mission, it's pretty easy to identify if it has been changed and isn't in sync. But a hot cocoa schedule, well, you don't want to show up at the reindeer stalls during duty and not during hot cocoa refill time. So we want to make sure that this is accurate on everywhere that it's referenced. So what we're going to do with this is use something that's called a synced block. So we talked about content blocks, and we have headings, and we can have nested pages and quotes and call outs. And actually on the page where we had the battery notice, that's a call out, and it lets us do some additional styling. But for this, we're going to do a synced block. And I like to hover over these before I click on one because it gives me some nice information. Sync content across pages. So I'm going to turn into a synced block, and it doesn't look like anything changed until I click on it and I see this nice little peach border and an indicator that I'm editing original. Well, I'm going to move this table inside of my synced block. So now I have this all inside of a synced block. And I will copy the synced block. And let me go over to the train station. And the train folks, yeah, they care about, yeah, we want to avoid fire hazards. Yeah, sure. But what we really want is to know when we get to refill our mugs. I pasted that in. So I hit the copy on the other page. I did a Command V to paste it. And now I can see this is synced to one other page. If I edit something in here and say, hey, this is actually at the toy bench is where we're refilling. I edited that within the train station. And if I go back to the bulletin board, you can see that this location was also changed into toy bench, and it will go vice versa. So these are all now synced into one item. So now at 2 o'clock, it's the West Hall actually. And at 8 o'clock, it's the East Hall. Let me go back to my train station, and we might tell, hey, all of our train workers, bookmark this page, favorite this page, add to your favorites, and that will pop up here. So the train folks, this might be the main page they look at, but they need to know that cocoa schedule. So what we're able to do is take one synced block, whether it's Mrs. Claus or Bernard or whomever's managing the hot cocoa schedule. They have one spot that they are able to modify and reference that, and it is able to sync across seamlessly over to this train station page where we can see where we can go and refill our cocoa mugs. So that is that's 12:30. That is our 30-minute training session. This session we covered what is Notion, what is a workspace, what is a team space, what is a page, what is a block. We got into some of the different types of blocks that are available to us in Notion, um, including synced blocks, which is one of those very powerful features that is often overlooked or that people are not quite aware of if they've started to use Notion. So hopefully that's a good primer for the elves as we get rolling. In our next session, we will look at how to take some of these items and turn them into things that are a bit more data rich with databases and views and relations. Um, and then we'll eventually get into automations and API connectivity. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do in Notion at N-dash. Our whole website is powered by Notion as a content management system. Our social media posting is powered by Notion as a management system. We have a lot of things that are powered by it because of the flexibility it provides. And so we're excited to help the merry crew get a nice clean setup um, going at the North Pole. So feel free to go to our website, check out some of the different toolkit items we have, and make sure to follow our company page on LinkedIn to find out when we'll be getting the next call from Mrs. Claus. It might be tomorrow, it might be early next week, but we will have quite a bit more to go into because we hear that there are all sorts of other process issues underway, and we've got different elves being sick and who are out. And so we'll be figuring out how to decentralize some of their processes and help get them going in a stress-free Christmas spirit. That's all we have for today. So thank you all for joining and or watching this recording, and look forward to catching you in part 2 of this. All right. Thanks, y'all. Merry Christmas.